name is Jacqueline Faith Moore. I'm a second-generation American, half Mexican, half Italian. I'm a psychotherapist, business owner, professor, teacher, meditator, poet, writer, composer, musician, painter, lover, all the fun things. I've been painting and making art since I was really little. It was something I really liked about growing up. My dad would bring home all these boxes of the printer paper that used to have like all those blue lines with the like perforations on the side. And we would just like unfurl it on the floor and just crayons. And my parents met playing music, fell in love playing music. My mom played guitar in a church group at St. Monica's in Santa Monica, California here. And my dad came in and started helping run and orchestrate the music group, and they met and he took her to buy her first guitar, and here I am. Which I think is super beautiful. So I know there's a lot of music inherent in who I am and my creation story, which I love. I got to play music for my dad's mom, my grandmother, a few days before she passed. They lived in Nogales. She said we were super poor, we didn't have a car, we didn't have a lot of things, but he always made sure there was money so that her and her sisters could cross the border and take piano lessons. She's like, because in that day, you could just cross the border under the train, no problem. They'd take the piano lesson and then walk back again. And that just floored me. I was like, where have these stories been my whole life? How beautiful. So I know that music goes pretty ancestrally deep, which I am very grateful for, and I think it's really beautiful. Part of my soul has that lineage of music that's always been singing. And how do I sing that? How do I keep that alive? Life is a really complex situation. And they say in psychology and in-depth psychology that when someone goes through some sort of trauma, the psyche fractures. And it's only through that fracture in the psyche that you can access the newness, that God can come through, that you get that glimpse of the cosmos, whatever languaging you want to use, that's where the higher force comes through. And some things we'll never entirely understand why or how. I'm a psychotherapist. I teach psychology at a Pacifica Graduate Institute, teach cultural psychology, research methodologies. The one thing I said I never wanted to do was I never wanted to teach. And now here I am helping all these students craft 50-page theses. I'm reading them, I'm grading them, getting papers every session, and I love it. It's incredible. So when I was in high school, I was part of a really awesome music program. I was a trumpet player. I was a super ska kid. I was super into it. It was a lot of fun. And I learned the trumpet and did wind ensemble, marching band, jazz band, started learning the bass guitar. When it came time for college, the idea of doing demo reels of my music kind of freaked me out. So I didn't do it. I didn't apply for music school. I ended up going to the Academy of Art University. And I started as a photography major, something really like moody and unconscious about dark rooms with the red light. Underground, it's all dark, breathing chemicals. And then they started taking the dark rooms out. And I was like, hold up. Didn't want to leave San Francisco. Didn't want to leave my friends. Didn't want to leave the school I was at. And I was like, all right, well, what have I been doing my whole life? I've been painting. So I just pivoted and went into the fine art painting department and ended up doing my degree in fine art painting. And so being in San Francisco, as soon as I would get my bass tuned, there'd be a knock on the door. Hey, sound complaint, you got to cut. Trumpet, super offensive instrument if you're in old San Francisco buildings. So I didn't play music for 8 years. Trying to be a full-time artist is difficult. I did murals all over San Francisco, North Bay. That's a very hard living. Ended up teaching yoga full-time, blew out a hip and was on disability for 2 years. And I was going crazy. A girl can only watch so many novellas, and then you got to do something else. So I went and bought the guitar of my dreams. Had been in an all-women cover band in the Bay Area, and we were known as the Hot Teacher Band. So we were all teachers in the same school district, teaching full-time yoga, social-emotional regulation to really traumatized population of students. through Stanford University, which was awesome. And they were seeing if the brain development in these kids would get back on track. And lo and behold, meditation and yoga, it works. Who knew? The ancient arts, ancient spiritual practices, no way, science, good job, they work. And because that program ended, I either had to make a choice between, okay, well, what am I going to do professionally? I either need to go be a teacher, or if I keep wanting to do social emotional, then I need to be a therapist. And because I didn't want to grade papers and I didn't want to teach, I decided to be a therapist. Took that journey. And now here I am, therapist and teacher, which I love. I'm really grateful that, the things that I never conceived have brought me to a really good place. I'm adventure. Like, I have to just say it. I go into the wilderness and backpack by myself. I have dreams one day of just like cuddling bears somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I'll go for runs. I love traveling. I've done some international travel by myself. And I've learned that you just have to go for things in life. And more often than not, showing up, I think with a certain amount of excitement and enthusiasm and passion and just being authentic that hey, this matters to me. It ends up being yeses. I think as community, we need to just keep each other hyped and keep having fun. There's so much soul and heart and mind that has to synthesize into something. I guess synthesize is the word. It has to be synthesized enough to be able to move it outwards. It can be really overwhelming. And I think that's where artists, or I feel that that's where artists, we're metabolizing something collectively, perhaps, or at least to save our own sanity. At least to transmute whatever it is that we're feeling. And I do believe in the collective unconscious, that there are these deeper forces that, archetypes, energies, symbols, mythology, whatever it is that represents a deeper force, a more pervasive force, and it comes up. And some of us catch that. A lot of my graduate work was around looking at the psychic structure of the artist, and where most people, the ego actually works as a filter between what we're aware of and what we choose to not be aware of. And the average person, that ego structure is this fortress wall that doesn't let a lot of information in. The artist, on the other hand, is archetypally known for having almost no filter at all. So everything pours in and moves through if we can sculpt it, whether that's vibrational sculpture of music, whether that's three-dimensional sculpture of sculpture, whether that's paint on a canvas, rendering imagery, observing light, cameras, photography, film, right? Whatever it is, we find our medium that matches whatever dimensions we perceive. And I think that ultimately it's probably why I've taken up so many crafts, because different energies want different expressions. For lack of a better term, it feels very spiritual. It feels very psychological. It feels messy. It feels exciting. It feels exhilarating. It feels transcendent and psychedelic, and fun. It's just like an art party in my mind all the time. It's great. Come on in. We'll have a good time, I swear. Well, I think these days my primary artistic interest is music. I have a band, Maya Lumen. A lot of people around town know me as Maya Lumen. So I got really nerdy choosing the name Maya Lumen. I dug through different alchemical texts, philosophy books, psychology books, yoga philosophy, lots of different sources. In tantric philosophy, Maya is when there is no veil between things, and both divine, masculine, feminine, both polarities, they end up being unified, and so creation starts inherently just pouring forth. And I was like, for a music art project, yes, Maya's got to be in here. And I just think it's a beautiful name. And then when I thought about, okay, this inherent flow of creation, it needs to happen at the speed of light. So here comes the lumen, right? Measure of light. So Maya Lumen. You can also call me Jacqueline. And I started this project when I bought that guitar of my dreams, when I was laid up and unable to walk, and started songwriting to keep myself sane, to figure out what to do with pain, what to do with boredom. When I moved out of the Bay Area into Ventura County, synchronicity is a beautiful thing. And I ended up meeting a really beautiful group of artists here in town that really just embraced me and brought me in. And I remember jamming out with a group of people one night and coming out of the music room, and one of the women being like, "Damn, girl, you got some real Motown grooves." And I was like, "Oh my God, wait, you were listening?" And she went on to track all the percussion on my EP, Ellipsis. And one of the other gentlemen that was there runs a record label. And I started asking him about it. "Oh, no way, you're on a record label. Wow, what is it like to get on that record label? How is it that you produce people? How do you select people?" One of those moments where it's like, okay, just put it out there, just ask. He was like, "Absolutely. I think you have something. I would love to produce your music. Let's do it. See what you got." So we met at Prospect Coffee and sat down and mapped everything out and started recording. That was in 2018. I started grad school in 2018. So on top of going to grad school, writing a 50-page thesis, it's a production thesis. So I did 34 paintings to illustrate what I was working on. Also recorded and released a 4-song EP. I tend to be an album ahead of what is actually getting produced. So here we were producing this group of songs. And I did not know until I got into this how many hours it takes to record and produce and mix and master and EQ music. Like, oh my gosh. So as of now, I'm 5 years into working on a full-length album. So that album's coming together, and the next album is already written. So for lack of a more diplomatic term, I call it artistic constipation. We gotta move it out, people. We gotta move it out. We gotta get it into the world. And my goal for my Illumin is to be a full artistic brand. I've done large-scale murals, been having gallery shows over the year for my art, and something wasn't clicking, ultimately, I think is the way to say it. But the music is clicking, and I see it really resonate with people. And it's all instrumental. And the people that come up to me after shows and tell me about dreams they remember or things they started thinking about or memories that they've had is just like, it's so fulfilling to me to hear that. And the goal then, because the music is really finding a home in the community, is to make this a comprehensive art brand. I really want to go back to the roots of what an album used to be. A collection of songs that records a set of energies, a period of life. It's an artistic record. Vinyl used to always have a booklet. You could flip through and see pictures, lyrics, thoughts from the band, thank yous, shout outs, production notes, all of these things. And that has kind of died in the digital flux of singles, Spotify, digital streaming, all of these things. And I really want to bring it back. Everyone keeps being like, you just need to release singles. We're going for an album. And I've been collecting art from different people I know, my own art, my own creative writing. And the idea is with every album to be putting out the art book that illustrates through imagery and poetry and storytelling what this instrumental soundscape is actually about and what it's speaking to. All of the merch that I've offered at different shows, as of now, this is probably not going to last, is all one of a kind, handcrafted, upcycled, repurposed, curated items to really bring artistry back into a tangible form, into the hands of people to be able to interact. If everything is digital, we're not creating that relationship the same way. And relationships are so important. The more the world is going into the digital, we're all connected all the time. We're getting lonelier. We're getting more disconnected. We're only presenting parts of ourselves that are photo worthy and the way we want to be perceived. And that's not what art is. Art is the wholeness of experience. So you get people at a show, you get people talking, drinking, eating, dancing. Community is everything. That's really beautiful. And I love how music does that. being an artist can be a really lonely, solitary practice, where we're very in ourselves. We're very much trying to figure out how to create. And that means we need each other, because likely the synchronicities of the world, multiple artists are all transmuting similar energy, similar thoughts at the same time. And if we're not connecting with each other, how do we amplify our resonance? We have to do that. We need each other. Nobody can do this in a vacuum. Music takes a band of people. It takes producers, it takes engineers, it takes the mastering person, it takes videographers, photographers, sound designers, lighting people, venues, ticket sales, web designers. It takes everybody. It takes community. And it's been really exciting to get involved in the 101 community, because I walk into a room and there's one of everybody. This person's a graphic designer. This person builds websites. This person builds homes. This person could design a recording studio. This person's going to shoot my music video. This person's going to have the warehouse we shoot the music video in. This person's going to do this documentary. This person's going to take the photos at the shows and get the B-roll and do the things. It's so humbling to just show up and know that everyone is going to support everybody. And that's what we need. And I often say, I'm awkward. Nice to meet you. You can also call me Jacqueline. You can also call me Maya Lumen. And to walk into a room of people that are also artists takes the awkwardness out of it, because I know that no matter who I go up to, we're going to have something to talk about. What do you do? What matters to you? What are you creating? And everybody has an answer, and everybody has a profound answer, and everybody's so excited and willing to share. And it's been so fulfilling, and it's been so exciting to like bring other people in, like, yo, check it out. Like, there's a place we belong. There's a place we're understood. You have this dream. Well, you better come to the 101, because someone there is going to help you make it happen. And it's coming together. It's been so humbling and beautiful and inspiring. And I'm really grateful that, as much as I hate social media, that, you know, the doom scroll led me to some of the most amazing people in this group. So just check it out. I'll see you there. Nice to meet you.